You are listening to Build Forward, field notes from Africa founders for the ones still building by the ones still building. Here is the common pattern story in Africa: a microbiology student, no design background, no camera, no mentor, picks up a phone and starts learning photography. Why? Because the money had to come from somewhere. That's the Africa survival story. And somewhere between survival and today, that same person has built one of the sharpest brand identity studios coming out of Africa creative scene. Today we are sitting with Theophilus Oni, founder of Artsy Gallery, a community built to hand African creatives the mentorship and exposure he had to find on his own. Also founder of Ireolu studio, his studio has worked with brand strategy and identity for names like Mubify, Africado Consulting, TEDx, and Chess in Slums Africa. What makes this conversation worth your next 40 minutes isn't the client list alone, but the journey. Theophilus talks about winning his first design job off of Canva, about delivering 100-page brand decks in 2 or 3 days, the client mindset to project delivery and success, and about learning the hard way and the nitty-gritty part nobody puts in the case study. If you are creating in Lagos, Nairobi, Accra, or anywhere in between, still wondering whether design is a real part or a side hustle, this episode is your answer. If you're a founder who thinks branding is a logo and a color palette, Theophilus is going to challenge that. And if you ever build something out of necessity and wondering if it still counts as a real foundation, here is your proof. We are not here for inspiration. We are here because you, the continent next generation of builder, needs to hear what the actual path looks like, mistakes and all, so you can leap faster than we did. Let's get into it.
All right, like you rightly said, my name is Theophilus Oni. Yeah, and quite a number of persons actually know me as Ireolu because I mean that's like my first was it my first I don't think it should be my first name, but then I started with Artsy Galleria and the likes like that. Then I started, building names and along the line I finally found my boss to pursue. Right. So at ART and then Ireolu is like from my other initial, that's Ireolu. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I am the founder for Ireolu Studios, and at Ireolu Studios, we are committed to brands and building brands trust and strategy through uh logo designs definitely, of course, right? Through logo designs, brand strategy, and aside that, we actually ensure that we see brands to be excellent at what they do that we used to do. And it's actually one of our contributions to impact in general. Like, and that's where Artigalia comes in. Right. So Artigalia for it's a creative community, creatives especially. Right.
Mhm.
And I'll just stop here anyway. I have quite a number of things to actually say.
That's
And
to say, okay. Quite interesting. I think we got the art Ireolu and then the art gallery. Um,
yeah,
as
so
we
there are
go
two different
further,
entities. Exactly.
interesting. As we go further, we'll begin to speak more about it. But initially, we want to first know how do you get into brand identity design? How do you get to brand strategies? Because we know in Nigeria or in Africa, there are not many places that have it as a course or something like that. The traditional path for everybody is go to school, study one of this,
Yeah.
one of that. Yeah. So just share some light. Possibly was it in university, then which university, was it association, what and what, just share something.
Okay, so let me start by saying that my creative journey was kind of a bit unclear. Right, I didn't know I was going to go into stuff like this from the on. So all I actually thought was I was going to be was probably find myself in the medical space because I always wanted to be a medical doctor, like a surgeon, understand, and all of those things. So
Okay.
I saw myself in that light at first. But along the line, the economy has a way of, suiting you from your purpose or from what you desire to do somewhat. And the academics came in, and I didn't get what I wanted. I think I studied microbiology in University of Abuja, right? So it wasn't really what I wanted. But then the drive going to school and having to, like, when you're already sure that you want to become this in life, and then school is giving you something else. So, but I had no choice.
Honestly.
I had no choice. I had to go. I was staying in Lagos then, so I had to relocate down to Abuja. And at the point when I was in Abuja, there was literally nothing on it because I was like, it was as if I was starting life afresh. Yeah, and it was kind of very, very difficult for me at those times to pull through going to school, transporting myself, paying for handouts and the likes like that. You understand? So it was quite a lot those times. So I did something very, very significant, something very, very unconventional. Right? I I love music a lot. I don't even know if I do music.
True, true.
I,
I
I
see.
love
You
music a lot. And I think um on my first year in school, second I think it was second semester or probably I organized a music concert, I mean, a music workshop. That was my first music workshop that I organized, and that was like my first time having to do something beyond my capacity, right, in the music space. Yeah, and all through, it was going all well. It was all going rosy and all of those things until lockdown came in. And don't forget that during lockdown, we had we couldn't go out. We were usually indoor, right? So of course you can't do music. You can't literally do music like that indoor and no gigs, nothing, nothing. You're just indoor and all of. So okay, what skill can replace or can sustain me for the period of the coronavirus? You understand? So I thought about having to do photography. Yeah. So I didn't even think about that at first. I decided that let me just because I didn't have a phone then. So, but I had a little capture phone, and I don't know if you know about Easy by those guys. Like all these
Yeah,
people.
it's a vibe.
Yeah. So I decided to like go on to patronize Easy by before that was a day before the lockdown, before Corona. Right. And I got the phone, and I never had any newspaper to start with. I never had any means. I was only able to raise a few cash. That's the 30% deposit then. It was the techno phone I got. That time it was Camon. I know Camon phones are very good. Their cameras are very good.
Yeah.
Those- So I decided that okay, I was going to do just get the phone, and by God's grace, just I was in God's hands. Anyhow, I'm going to pay this money back. I have to pay it. But I got the phone that day, and subconsciously I started seeing myself utilizing the camera of that phone. I didn't know how I started it. I didn't even know what directed me to just do something creative in the aspect of photography. I wanted to even, in fact, at some point, I was already taking videos with that phone and editing them. But I felt it was kind of complex. Let me change and all of this. I was taking my photography journey step by step, right? That was where Artsy Galleria came in. So Artsy Galleria that you know now as a community corporate, it what it was then. You understand? I only put Artsy Galleria to be a photography studio, like just like you have a photography studio and all of those things. That was what I was picturing it to be as at that time, but I never knew God had bigger plans. You understand? So I decided that okay, I was going to be training it because then I was using my smartphone to take pictures, and trust me, I can boast for this one on this one, right? My pictures are very clean. Like I can really boast on this one, right? Because I pushed myself to the point that I was taking pictures and editing them as though it was a professional photographer who was probably taking those pictures and actually editing them. So I decided to start. I decided to run classes like what they calling it, yeah, virtual classes for people who might be interested. Okay? And trust me, I was very happy to professional photographers joining my session. That is me who doesn't have a laptop. I don't have a digital camera. All I just have is a phone, a smartphone.
Yeah.
They wanted to know my process, what I was able to do during those times. And then I was being resourceful. And one thing about being resourceful or about we African creatives is the fact that in the midst of failed systems, we are compelled to actually be resourceful. Do you understand? Because if
Yeah.
everything is for you, you will not really think of being resourceful as well. Everything is just but when you need to survive, you find yourself being resourceful. You
Okay.
understand? So
Yeah.
and I think that was literally what happened at that moment because I needed to survive. I needed money, I needed funds, I needed stuff, you understand? So I needed to do those things. Aside from the fact that I was editing pictures and edit a particular picture and people will pay those times, I was also teaching people. And that was where the creative community came about at Galleria generally.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So that was where it came about. But then it was still tilted around photography. Like I said, the journey started in bits. I didn't know that it was going to get to this point. I didn't even see it to be like this. I didn't expect it to be like this. I didn't expect it to be like this. But you see the part, you see this attributes to the I
Yeah.
didn't plan it. I didn't plan it because something prompted. That's so I'm trying to explain how I got to this, how I became a
Yes,
designer.
yeah.
Right? Yeah. So something prompted my switch. Do you understand? So I usually use my phone to do some flyers. Those times when I have graphic designers around me, those times to just help me with design and all. But I realized I was paying much those times, and I can't afford to pay. Pay again. Please let me learn this thing safe.
Yeah.
So the push was because I was since I could edit pictures on my with my phone and people think I use a laptop or whatever because I usually explain dodge and bone and frequency separations, all those things, those terms.
Yeah.
People thought I was actually
Yeah.
using a laptop, whereas I was using a phone to do those things because you can actually do some of those things on your phone. You
Mm.
understand?
Mm.
So, but that was then. You understand? I don't know about now because I've not been doing that in a very long time. Like it's been how many years now?
Yeah.
So moving on, I decided to uh switch. I didn't plan to switch, but I was like, okay, I just need to learn graphics 1 or 2, even if that is a few things. Let me just learn, you understand? And that was how I started using my phone to do small flyers. Like I used Canva. Canva was my saving grace. That I know you know about Canva. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
Canva came out that time. It was a friend of mine that introduced me to Canva then. And I told him I wanted to establish my business and all. So he was telling me about things like business plan and the likes like that. And then he showed me stuff that he did on Canva with his phone. I'm like, guy, how were you able to put this up, like these graphics and all like that? So he started putting me through his steps. You know, so not design generally. He was just telling me how he was able to, pull out
Visualize some.
plan, pull out a business plan and those things like that. And then told me that if I use Canva, I'll be able to pull out something like that. So I did that with my phone, and guess what? I was, that 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 design I did for my business plan was what gave me my first job as a graphic designer. I never had a laptop.
Wow.
To be honest,
Let's try.
I was already in training level at that time. So, but as I said, if it's this thing is how would I put it? Grace actually has a way of covering you up in ways you can't quantum that. So, and at this period, I during the interview, I was asked to showcase a few things I've actually done before and all. And then lo and behold, where I was being interviewed was a consulting firm. Of course, you must know how to write a business plan. You must know what, even if you don't know how to, but you should know what a business plan is. You should know what proposals, presentations, decks, and those things. But I was already inclined in that regard. So I think it was one of the things that prompted the employer to get me on board and all of those things. So,
Mm.
but he didn't know that I was not really good on. I never, in fact, I didn't know how to use a laptop. So
The-
I didn't know how to use a laptop then. So I was on my toes because when I was employed at the end of the day, asked to resume and all of those things. I was very excited. I mean, very much excited as a student then. Imagine any such, and I was like, hi, I need to find a way to get myself on track so that I
Mm.
don't. It wasn't massive. I lied to the to the organization, right? So
Yeah,
you can, if you can imagine that pressure at that time. So they have
yeah,
to do a particular task. I have to use my phone to cover up, while at the same time I was learning on my PC 247, learning on
yeah.
my PC how to use Photoshop, and these things I was doing them on my own. There was no mentor, nothing, nothing. I was just doing them on my own just to make sure that I could meet up. Right? And that was how I started building because along the line I forgot I was doing photography. Do you understand? So along the
Yeah,
line, so that's why I said it was not a deliberate shift. It was because of the search for survival, or the need for survival. Right? It was not a deliberate shift. So that's why I said sometimes things happen like that. Something you don't intend, but you just need to survive, and then you just find yourself in. And one thing that I appreciate is the fact that I love arts generally. So I think probably that's why it was very easy for me to just tilt towards anything arts and creative. Yeah, so
yeah,
because I loved drawing when I was in secondary school. I mean, I love drawing. In fact, when it comes to drawing, if you want to bring, if you're talking about the best artists, just know it is I'm the one in this school then. But that was that. Anyways.
actually, that's what we even wanted to move into. Like, we're like
Correct.
interested in. I was like, that's where we wanted to move into. Like, while growing up as a child, did you have that sign? Like, when they those signals? Because, for some people, it later developed, they are not inborn. And for some people, they're kind of inborn, but not recognized really. So, I think you shared,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I've actually covered that part because it feels
yeah,
as if it was a part of me, as if it was inherent, right? And that's because I love drawing from the onset, right from childhood. I love drawing, and I think that was what I was able to channel to branding, other stuff.
interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. That's very great. I think I'm privileged to hear another side of the story because I didn't get to hear this. I didn't know. Okay, so from the time
Not,
I
not
came, yeah,
yeah, not
yeah,
many people actually talk about this anyway. That's why I said that's the importance of telling your story, because it's very necessary. I mean, and when you get your story being documented at the same time, I mean, it's a lot to help a lot of
yeah.
people out there. So,
That's great. That's great. So I think it's just amazing. And now we'll now be going into. I think we'll talk about Arts Gallery. I think when I knew about Arts Gallery, I don't think Art Ireolu Studio was there in function.
no,
So
it wasn't
yeah,
evolving then. It was under, right, because I was still doing graphics, and don't forget that I was doing designs for Artsy Galleria those times, while I
okay,
had other designers under. I was supervising because I was already into design, but I never carved a niche for design for myself.
okay, yes,
I carved a niche. I just wanted to. I was just more about impact. I just wanted to see people grow around me, and I was not really more about myself. I was just about. Then later I started figuring out that if you must raise at Galleria, you must raise funds for yourself too at
yeah,
some point.
exactly.
So you can fund at the community. And so that was where the decision came in, where I have to focus on my personal brand, build my brand so that it can fund the community. So the community is just like my giving back to the society.
Interesting, interesting. So in relation to that, before we go into the Arts Ireolu Studio, let's just talk about Artsy Gallery. Possibly for those that will be interested and want to join, want to go into the community and everything. And
Okay.
yes, tell us more. Tell us why it exists, what its importance, what it stands for. Yes.
Okay, so let me share a few about Artsy Galleria. Like I said, from my story, you should be able to know why Artsy Galleria actually existed. Because I know I've tasted I wouldn't say, I don't want to use the word suffering because it sounds very negative, too negative for me, right? But I've tasted hustle, and I'm still hustling, right? So, and I know
Yes.
that there's quite a number of Nigerian youths or African youths generally, creatives, who are who don't even have the opportunity to actually showcase or to actually build their skill. Do you understand? So some of them
Yes.
actually have this thing. They're not even aware. You
Mm,
understand? They're not even aware on how to even, aside from being aware, they don't even know how. Once it's different from you being able to recognize that you have these gifts, and then channel it to something resourceful, something that can actually bring in more revenue to you. Right. So it was the reason for that was because I needed to a a society where where you don't have to leave Nigeria, or you don't have to leave the continent Africa generally before you can you don't have to succeed. You can actually succeed and build here in Africa.
Interesting.
Yeah. And for you to get to that level, we ourselves have to work together to give ourselves opportunity, to give ourselves guidance. We need people that should be able to mentor ourselves, to mentor young creatives and all of those things. So that was where that's what actually led to African agenda, because we wanted to see youths being employable and also employers in their own right. So that means that imagine a youth or probably a creative who probably knows how to design, for instance, now just like myself, or probably knows how to code and those things. Is employable to a company, right? At the same time, he can also employ others.
True,
Do you
yes.
understand? So if you do this for one person and you do and it keeps going two, three, four, trust me, Africa would really, really develop.
True, true. I think that's very important. The role of mentorship, especially in Africa, needs to really be, should I say, modern mentorship, because we wouldn't say mentorship has been in our society, though in informal ways. But now, for a creative society or for a futuristic society, the role of mentorship is slowly declining, or should I say, getting
Exactly.
harder to put in place.
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe Artsy Galleria is still active, right? That means we can have a link later to share.
Yeah, I can actually send you a link to Galleria. Although we are on Instagram. Yeah, so right now we are not currently active.
Hmm.
Like I said, we are trying to build structure so that, because we started initially and then we have to put a post a few things. Like I said,
Yeah.
we have to raise funds to be able to push out together. Right. Initially we started out all those things. We're just doing it. Right. I was saying
Yeah.
the other one, I had a team of creatives at the same time. So we're just doing this thing together. But then we later realized that if we are going to keep doing this, we would eventually fail. We have to make sure that we actually should be able to even fund ourselves, at the same
Yeah.
time be able to fund the community, and that way sustainable. Because you cannot run a team with an empty pocket. It's not possible.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think some of the things you also missed out for those listening is that Artsy Galleria it's not just design. I joined there. It's product development. It has product development. It has every digital skill you can think of.
Yeah, you can actually think of
Yes.
courses.
Exactly, that's it. So now moving on to Arterial Studio, the thing about design or graphic design, it's a really broad niche, right? There is
Yeah,
different segments of design and everything. And over the years, I've seen you establish yourself in the brand space, brand identity development, brand design. I think that's what you are known for. That's what gets to my mind when I think of Arterial. Like, if you really need to get your brand to be global, to look worthy, then
yeah,
yeah. So how did you navigate through there? Because for instance, you started from flyer design, business plan. Then how did you come to carve
exactly.
this
All
thing?
right. So let's say this happened as a result of consistency. All
Mm.
right. It happened as a result of consistency, because if you are not showcasing something often, you won't be known for that thing.
Yeah.
You won't that if you're not showcasing things often. So because of the fact that I was not so much good with graphics as at those times, I was still posting. Usually do post my flyer designs those times, just post things, right? But
Yeah.
like I said, I moved into branding not because I deliberately chose it, but because branding it just came upon me, just as if the Holy Spirit just came. When something
Yeah.
just comes upon you and then you find it very seamless compared to
Yeah.
other, because graphic design is very broad. Graphic, in fact, motion is graphics. Do you understand? It is very, very
Yeah.
broad. Right? It could be poster designs, editorial, and the likes like that. But like I said, I started with corporate designs and editorial design. So that was a lot complicated because most many designers actually don't like that niche because they don't people designers don't like creating pitch decks. They don't like creating slides.
The
It's
corporate of graphic design.
Do you understand? It's like one of the most difficult part of graphic design. Creating
Mm,
infographics. Who wants to do that? Nobody is there to do that. It is a
mm,
very nobody is even people are not really into that niche. Do you understand? So people
yeah.
just like things that are more interesting. And to be honest, if you're not a corporate person, you will not really enjoy creating slides and the likes like that because that niche is actually for people who are more uh just like you have nerds in the creative space. Do you understand?
Mm,
Just
okay.
that's what editorial feels like to me personally, right? So I moved into branding just because it was very easy for me to flow. It was very easy for me um to understand people's idea and visually bring it to reality. I realized it about myself. And then I said to myself that henceforth I'm going to be building brands, starting from smaller business, vendors. I don't want to know if it's like the smallest vendor or what, just like we have outside vendors, for instance. I was going to
Yeah.
be to designing their logos. Do you
Mm,
understand? Going to be doing
yeah.
design their logos. But I was not doing that for free, but I made it almost free. Do you
Wow.
understand? So like once I create stuff, I just post and along the line. And one thing about me is once I see something, it registers in my head. I'm not the kind that goes on and just have to just maybe I'm not the kind that just I have to depend on somebody to teach me what to do. You
Okay.
know, once I am on Instagram, for instance, and you check my Instagram algorithm, for instance, it's mostly graphics, photography, videography, everything related to that. Alright, so I'm I usually feed my eyes with designs. So subconsciously, when you see things too much, that's what registers in your head.
Yeah.
You understand?
That's
So that's what registers in your head. So it was now becoming very seamless for me to start creating and building identities. If you ask me now, what is your hobby, or what's my hobby rather? I wouldn't tell you. Of course, I love music because I still love music till date. Right?
mm,
Music is still my first choice, but then I love designing. I mean, it's fun for me, right? But trust me, aside those things, I enjoy scrolling through Pinterest. Like I literally enjoy scrolling through Pinterest, and that's why most of my mentees, once they create a logo, I ask them to probably do maybe a tutorial or something like that, and I see something that they probably create. I'm always like, guy, this is not your work. You probably saw it on Pinterest because it's just as if somebody is into something, you're so deep into your field, and you know that if somebody creates something, you've probably seen it somewhere. It looks very familiar.
yeah, yeah.
So becoming a library of yourself. Do you
Interesting.
understand?
Yeah.
So you don't have to even go online to think about certain things or to see certain things. Once you see a particular thing, you can tell that it's either this person drew inspiration from this place or drew inspiration from this other place. There's some designs I see from top creatives that I know that guy, some of these things I've seen it somewhere. Probably it was inspired your work. So I like that's why I said I just scroll Pinterest often. I just do it for fun. I might not even be there to pick anything, but I just scroll for fun.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's like that's like obsession with the craft. Obsession with the
Yeah,
craft.
exactly. So even in my sleep, guy, it's always like that for me.
And it shows in the quality of work, or should I say the innovation, because I've seen your work with Mubify, I've seen your work with the agro company, can't really remember the name again.
Which
And
one? Which one?
there was this agro business you did a design for.
Okay. Bangida Farms.
Yeah, Dafa. And
Okay.
I've seen the two
Yeah,
works and noticed that there's, should I say, in as much as it all has like there's a team, when you design a lot, you begin to create that as a team. But in as much as that, you see that okay, there's this level of exposure that came in that, oh, you understand
experience.
how exactly, you understand how a farm agro work is to look, and then you understand how a tech product is to look. So
Yeah,
that's more of
exactly.
an experience
Yeah.
to more other things. Yeah, that's great. That's great. So now you've shared a lot about Artsy Studio and the rest and the rest. So before we move on, though we are to move on to the things that you think the challenges in Africa or how it was building the brand, the navigation, client issues. I know design freelancing work or designing work, you face that client
Okay.
issue. Sometimes you pitch abroad and it goes back, or sometimes you are limited. Let's say network, internet can affect you. So we'll go into all
Yeah.
that. But before we go to that, you can just share to us some of like the people you've worked with, some of the crafts you've done, and the exposure you have, and everything. So our audience can understand you.
So I didn't get it. I didn't get that. Sorry.
I was like, like, can you just share to us like some of the
I can hear
brands
you.
you've worked with? Okay, some of the brands you've worked with, the exposure you've gotten, like the experience you've had so far. So when we get into these challenges and every other stuff, our audience will understand. Okay, this guy is speaking from this. See where he has gotten and see the exposure he has. So you understand. So some
Okay.
of them.
Okay. So I'm trying to get the question because the line is kind of breaking. I don't know,
Mm,
maybe it's network or so.
okay, is it better now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I think it was the network because I can see. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I can see the
Yeah.
video is posted due to problems with your network or so.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Yeah. So as I was saying, like we're going to get into the challenges, the whole
The experiences
business.
and all.
But before we get into that, like, can you share to us like your exposure, the clients you've worked with, how it was working with that client, like the experience, so our listeners can understand. Okay, this is where this guy is, and now if I want to get to this guy, these are like the things I need to follow. When I get to a client like this or this size, I'm able to coordinate my work. So just give us exposure to like where you've
Okay.
gone.
Okay, so let me start from, I'll do it like a before and after kind of
Yeah.
experience so that it's quite seamless or and easy for people to understand. Yeah, so when I started off as a designer, right, based on experience, I usually just picking jobs, even if it doesn't favors me,
Mm.
right? There are some jobs that would me through the night to work on, and at the end of the day, I don't see the benefits, right? So there's some jobs that but it was very necessary for my journey. So that's
Mm.
why sometimes you might, if you must grow, you have to take on things that are beyond, that are not even convenient for you, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So during this period, I take on jobs that would even affect my mental health. To be honest, because there are some clients that would show you shaggy. To be honest, I'm very serious. So I didn't know I was actually learning from those lessons, like learning from those experiences, right? I didn't know it was going to be my how shaping how I approach clients or how clients or yeah or how I present my brand to a client, right?
Mm.
So learning from experience was very needful. It was a very needful and needful time for me because okay, let me take for instance, let me give you a typical brand for instance. There is this particular man. He he loves everything. He loves everything corporate. Like that day I was doing editorial and slides this thing. He loves everything like that. And at that time it was really becoming too difficult for me because it takes a lot of mental strength to be able to come up with infographics because you have to read in between lines.
Yeah.
And they keep giving you deadlines that are just unrealistic.
Yeah.
So so I don't usually argue. I just take on the job because I was, like I said from the onset, I was doing that intentionally to build my mental capacity. Yes.
Okay.
To build my mental capacity is such that I can handle it regardless of how much it is. Actually, every human life, we are built to adapt, right? But
Okay.
to the stage where you now have to say, okay, now I'm done with the long suffering. Let me focus. more on enjoying. The experience of actually shaping you are living. Now you start enjoying. Just like they say, work now while you are young, and while you are old, you enjoy the fruits of your labor. Right?
Wow.
That was how I in my creative journey. I made sure that I did the most hardest. I did the hardest things. Right? Is it time? Is it delivering stuff in less than 2 days? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? When I was working with one of the companies back then when I started, there was I was delivering my business plan because I was still learning then, like I told you. I delivered my
Yeah.
business in 2 weeks. So if a client coming to you that I need the business plan, and delivering that business plan in 2 weeks. That's a lot of time, right? But they don't know that aside aside write-ups and those, you have to design. You understand? But I'm usually not the one that does the entire write-up, but you design. And sometimes it's usually about 150 pages, 100 pages. Do you
Okay.
understand? So the things that people that the graphic designers don't usually do those things. They usually avoid them. And as a lot of time I was still using Canva and those like and the likes like that. But I kept on doing it to the point that if you give me a 100-page document, I can finish it in less than 2 days or 3 days.
Wow.
That was what gave me the strength to do brand identity for Mubify of 150 page.
Wow.
Most designers can't take on that length. And it was not just filling pages, because I'm not about filling pages. I'm about detailing every information that goes into the brand. Is it the copy? Is it strategy? Is it identity? Do you understand? So there are
Yeah.
people who think that it's not mock-up that probably just put the entire. I'm not a fan of mock-ups. So I don't. I believe I what I see mock-ups to be. I see mock-ups to be a designer hiding, hiding behind the mock-up, because sometimes your logo might not look nice. It might not look functional, but you hide through that mock-up just to make it look presentable.
Yes. Yeah.
Cannot see if
Sometimes.
you cannot accept my logo in white and black, or you cannot see the meaning of a logo in white and black, then that logo has not done anything yet.
Interesting.
Do you understand? So that's usually my push. So like I said, you see how the experience from my past was able to shape in my Mobify project and even Stride Pass.
Yes. Ancestral capacity.
Yeah, so and even Stride Pass. So and when you keep doing things like that, people will be marveled. They are setting a standard for the industry.
Mm.
So that's why I said that when it comes to explain, I needed to explain my path. Okay, this was how it was. Then I took a lot of shit. I mean, I took a lot of things, right? And like I said, it was very necessary. It was very necessary for me to take on because I knew where I was going, and I've not even gotten there yet. I've
True.
actually,
True.
yeah. So it's just the process. Yeah. So I think that's what I can actually answer to that in minutes.
Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. So now we'll be going deep into the challenges and other stuff. You see, one thing about freelancing, I think I have a good exposure into not just freelancing, but then working overseas, especially as in Nigeria. Sometimes the contract terms, should I say the contract terms, or even trying to get the proposal over and being able to seal the deal, it comes with a whole lot of complexity. There is this
Yeah.
stigma, representation, and everything. So, what do you think? Like, what are your experiences on it, and just not just beyond your experiences, beyond also peers that you've worked with or you've seen grow past the stage and everything else. What do you think is like the challenges we face as Africans that these people over there do not really realize? But it's actually present there. Sometimes hinders us, but we deliver, we perform up to them.
All right. So clients, to start with, clients don't care about what you face.
Yeah.
That's one thing you should know. Just like you're working for an organization, they don't care what you pass through or what the miles you took to deliver that stuff or to
Yeah.
deliver your due diligence. What you care about is that you have delivered. And well, logically, it is normal. Logically, it is right?
Strategy.
But you see, when it comes to welfare, you are supposed to know how your staffs are faring or how your contractors are faring or what do you understand, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes you feel that doesn't just make you boss, it makes you a leader.
True.
Do you understand? So you won't judge clients when they just what they actually care about is their work. You won't actually judge them because you actually just give them, they paid for it already. But there's some clients that they are so loving that they'll be like, yeah, how are you able to do this thing? Even if I told you I should do it in less than 2 days, how are you able to pull this off and all of those things? Because they understand that some of those people understand that it's either you took your entire time to work on that stuff, or one way or the other, if you're able to deliver this thing right on time, they will appreciate
Yeah.
you for that. They will give you even extra fee. You understand? So some that I said, I don't, I'm not, I don't follow the trend where designers try to talk down on clients in that regard because I know that it's their right. They don't care. I mean, you are doing your job, but you're also you're being paid for your job, right? But
Yeah.
where you cross the line is when you're not now paying the contractor or do you get what I'm trying to say? That's where you now cross the line. That's a different ball game. Yeah. So in terms of managing my experience with clients, so far so good. To build, like I said, I don't. I observe people. I watch what people other big brands do. So I try to imitate some of them, right? So um, I already set in place protocols to keep things going. Is it in terms of um, ensuring that my clients understand my work process? So for each stage of my brand identity, my clients are being carried along. They are being
Yeah.
carried along. Either your project will take a month or 2 weeks. Each passing day, we are always communicating.
Wow.
Do you understand? We are always communicating each passing day, giving you updates on what is ongoing. If there's a need for us to share screen, okay, this is my draft, this and that. You are so the client also sees that the client feels part of the project.
Yeah.
So and that is why it will be very difficult for a client to reject a work when it feels part of the project.
Mm.
You understand? So, but doesn't mean that you give the client leverage to make the entire decision because it's not the designer, right? But sometimes clients really want to try and abuse such privilege, but it's you have to find a way to balance things, like I said. So while I'm explaining things, I have to ensure that I also balance what I'm also saying for that people that are actually behind this, right? So generally my experience with clients are very similar because I have to put a realistic structure, something that I can actually achieve. And also there are client agreement forms that you send to client before the project even starts. So right. I didn't know all of these things when I was starting my journey as a designer. When I started my project designer. So I didn't know all of these things then. Like I said, I didn't know all of these things. So I was just taking things that were beyond my capacity, beyond my timeline. I was just pushing through. Right. So that's why I said that those things were just needful for me to be able to take on gigs and handle complex projects, even when I'm in my most uncomfortable state. So
That's interesting. You,
yeah,
you've not really gotten into because I don't really have the right word because I'm not into the design space or specifically, but if someone in the design space is like, they are like, oh, what are the, let's say I'm just 2 years in, 3 years in, and I'm like, what are the protocols? And I'm aiming to be at where you are currently. What are the protocols,
okay,
the standards?
what are the steps to take?
Yeah,
Okay, that's what you're
exactly.
asking.
Yeah, more like a link.
I was probably thinking my interaction with clients, and because as I said, the way the network is kind of breaking and all. Okay,
Okay.
so like I said, it will be it will be I think it's relative anyways, right? So let me why I say it's relative is because now it depends on the person. Right?
Interesting.
So if you look at if I use myself as an example, I will tell you for a fact that because I learned on my own, I had to pick information from different places. So
Mm.
I picked information from different places. Obviously, it is not going to be arranged.
Yeah.
because I needed to build within a particular period of time. So if I'm telling somebody who is just starting out, of course, the person I'll tell you is number one, you have to be willing to take on. You have to count your costs first because you're going to spend. I can assure you, you have to be willing to spend. And most designers, in their they find what they do enjoy more is they just see a particular thing online and replicate it, see a particular thing online and replicate it. You understand? But they fail to lay foundational elements from top design. When I was starting off my creative journey, I watched YouTube videos, not tutorial videos now, not how to create this on Photoshop, not that one. No. Like I listened to people who actually shaped my creative journey in a sense that not like creative journey in a sense that who shaped how I should think as a creative designer, your creative process. So those were that was back then. Like I think it was in 2022, 2023 is just period. That was like 2, 3 years. That was 3 years, right? So
Yeah.
I was listening to those guys because those guys taught design principles. I haven't forgotten most of them because it's been a very long time. Taught design principles. I know that if I search on YouTube now, I'll still definitely see it, right? So they taught design principles, how to think as a creative. These things are things they are supposed to know first, even before you start designing.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's like the first step. And when you're able to grasp information on how to think as either a photographer or either a graphic designer, how to first think like one, then that will guide you on how to create, on what to create, and why you are creating.
Interesting.
Do you understand? So if
Yeah.
you are doing that consistently along the line, you start to find yourself fully strong in that niche.
Yeah.
So that's why I said if that is especially if you are actually learning on your own, especially if you're learning on your own, you probably don't have a mentor. But of course you should always have a mentor. You always have somebody you're looking up to, or a particular person that is very good at a particular niche they're also looking up to. I have a particular guy, I will not lie. I have about I think I have about 2, 3 mentors. One is in the design space, one is in the business side of design.
Okay.
So it is beyond, it's not just about design, you have to also know the business of what you're working on.
Yeah.
So you have to different aspects. Do you understand? So
True. True.
there's this particular guy, he's very good, like extremely good. I copy, not like I copy design. I've seen his design so much that my design now looks like his.
Interesting.
There was a particular time I did Happy New Year, Happy no, was it Happy New Year or December, Happy New Month flyer. I think it was Happy New Year. Yeah, it was Happy New Year, 2025, 2026. No, 2025 last year. I did a
Yeah.
flyer, brand. Guess what? My design was same with that guy's own. We didn't talk about it because it was for a company. So I just posted and I was like, guy, did you see my design? I said no. He showed me, so I was like, "Guy, how?" So that's how much. That's to tell you how much I follow this person.
Yeah.
So because I follow him that much, now I know how he thinks. I know what if because I want to work with him. That's why when me and him kind of collaborate, it's virtually very easy because I know how he thinks in design. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know how he thinks. So that's why I said you must always have a mentor, even in the business space. I know how my mentor would think when it comes to having to handle a client, when it comes to billing, or I mean, when it comes to transacting, when it comes to the financial part of the business. I know how it thinks. You understand? So there are so many things you actually need mentors at the same time while building. Aside from the fact that you also have to know how to think into creative, not just knowing how to design now. It's different. That one is even like it's major though, but it shouldn't be your most concern. Your most
Exactly.
your most concern is building those little things around you, just like you are a person and you're building little character that makes you.
True.
You understand? So that's what I think that would actually help African youth.
Interesting. I think you really got into what I'm looking for because overall, it's not just designers are here, right? But business people, or freelancers, or people with digital skill that also want to set up as a business or as a brand. And one of the specific things you mentioned was that beyond the craft, after the obsession of the craft, perfecting the craft or working on the craft, you now build the business behind the craft. You
Yes.
build the brand, and it takes a whole lot of skills. It takes a whole lot of techniques. That's interesting. That's interesting. So we'll be rounding up anytime from now. And before you leave, you can share with us where is Ireolu Studio going to, what's the next chapter, and
Okay. All right. So currently, Ireolu Studio is now expanding. Right. Like I said, we started off as a brand. Um, Let me use myself because it started from me generally, right? I started off as a brand designer and then into strategy. Yeah. So right now, it's actually moved from just Ireolu now to a studio where it's now a team of creative.
wow.
So we're not just doing branding, we're doing motion graphics, animation, UI UX, and sorry, printing, and like so we are now expanding. We're
Interesting.
going, we're going, it's beyond agency, it's beyond a design agency now, right? Because why it is beyond design agency is because we're not just really about aesthetics, good logos, and all. We are pushing more on marketing, sales for businesses because this is what businesses actually want.
Yeah.
You understand? You can do a logo for a designer for a brand. Your logo, the only thing your logo does is serves as a magnet to the customer or to the audience. It only attracts them. But what if they are attracted and the product itself is not good? So we are
True.
is moving beyond just is going beyond we are going beyond just the superficial look. We're looking at in depth of particular brands. Are they well positioned? Are they well intact? This is something that people can always patronize and want to refer people about. Do you understand? So we are going deep into that at the same time, while we are also doing the entire strategy, logos, and the likes like that, and motion, whatever. Those ones that people actually see, the physical things, right? So we're
Yeah.
actually going to actually.
Wow. I think that's the similar thing I've had with every other people I'm interviewing, because everyone is like saying, as they, should I say, we are expanding as we see the problem our clients also face. So we're trying to solve the next problem for the client, solve the next problem for the client. Like, that's the similar thing I'm having. And in relation
Okay.
with that, with the aim of AI now, and AI has a bit simplified some things or brought some things. Do you see it more as an easier path for you to solve more problems for the client per se, or it reduces your impact on the client and allows the client to solve better problems? Like, how are you navigating those two paths basically?
All right. So I'm a kind of person who always advise like before I embark on any projects, there is always
Mhm.
consult, right? Before I embark on anything, right? So and that's first consulting stage kind of it kind of creates an impression of trust. The client gets to trust the brand more because they see that
Yeah,
this person is actually talking sense, is actually talking, saying, revealing things about their brand, and subconsciously you are winning their heart. Now this is
yeah.
minus AI. If there is a need for me to advise my clients to use AI, of course I will tell you that bro or ma or sir or whatever. I think this we can actually create a template for you in this regard, and then just probably use AI to probably change a few things. It's that simple. We
Yeah.
embrace AI because AI is like a means to an end. AI is not the end. It's just a means because it assists you to your result, to achieve your results.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you understand? So it's not a threat to the studio, neither is it a threat to the client because I don't support because my clients would always come back, even if it is the smallest social media flyer, they don't give it to AI. That is how much they trust the brand. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of people say, AI is stealing our clients, this and that. But beyond that because now you must create an impression of trust. People buy trust. They don't buy just what you. They don't just buy it. They buy your trust actually,
Yeah,
and that is why they can spend whatsoever just to make sure that because they believe that if it's this guy that's doing it, don't worry. I trust his brand.
exactly.
They're willing to spend. Do you understand?
Exactly.
So it's not like when they don't trust the brand or probably they don't trust the particular person's intellect or how he reasons the kind of design. So just say, let me just give it to AI. Maybe we won't do it better than the person said. You understand? So that is where
Yeah,
that is where so now that's where most people should be thinking. How can I build myself to the point that clients when clients think of design, they don't think of AI first, they think of my brand.
mm,
You understand? It's just like when you are thinking of phone, the first brand that comes to your mind is either Samsung or Apple.
yeah, exactly.
So if clients are thinking of design, what is the first brand they should think of?
Yeah. And that's also, I think, once we are common with the niche factor or dwelling niche, but one thing you also highlighted is the trust factor. If you
Yeah,
can build that trust over time, then you are always going to be the one in their mind. Exactly.
exactly.
Exactly. Mm. So, any last word to us, to our listeners, to potential listeners, potential audience, any last word to us?
Okay, so what I would say generally to, let me say to Africans, not just Nigerians, because I mean we are all blacks and all. What I would say is we need to just keep pushing. We need to be consistent with what we do, right? And also, while we are building, we should be ready and willing to build others because you
Mm.
cannot you cannot be water is just as if water is flowing, just like a stream of water. It gets fresh every passing day. So if you are getting knowledge and accumulating knowledge, you should be able to pass that knowledge down to people who are actually in need of it. Because for us to build Africa, for us to actually build Africa, we have to be united. We have to be united. We have to be able to mentor each other. Not, not. Of course, everybody have a way of. I'm actually focused on my own grass. I need to focus on my own thingy, right? It's quite alright, but also be your brother's keeper.
Exactly.
Most creatives are suffering from the fact that they don't get exposure, or they don't get people to actually teach them those things. I have so many DMs like that where they're like, bro, I actually like your work and this and that. I don't shut them off. And I
Yeah.
can tell you that as good as I am, I still chat up people that I feel like, I like your work. Even if I feel like my work is better than yours, even if I don't believe my work is better than anybody or whatever. But even if I feel like that, I see that there's a need to chat this person. I always do. But when I do, sometimes I don't even get positive results.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be like
I
that
don't
many
get
times.
positive results. And I don't make it demoralize me in any way. Because
Mm.
if I don't get that positive result, I can shock you because in the next 2 days you see me do that thing that I was asking for. I only wanted the easiest route. I'm just like that. I'm very, very rugged when it comes to that. If you just reject what I would just say, don't worry, I'll not tell you, but I might even add it to it. And I will do it better. It's not about bragging anyway. It's just me being rugged in my niche. That's why, because I want it very easy for myself, sometimes I always want to reach out. I say, I actually, because of course, there's a need to network and connect.
Yeah.
But when people reach out to me, I make sure that I don't short what's the word now? The access. I want to be as
Okay.
accessible as possible to people, to creatives, because that's what I'm also building as a Galleria, as a community. So imagine building that and I'm not accessible. What's not the point?
From the start, what is the point exactly?
So I mean, we need to be our brother's keeper as much as a creative. Especially most creatives, all of us just mind we like to mind our business, and that's not really a good thing in the creative industry.
Mm. True.
Everybody
True.
wants to be better than the other one. I don't want you to know my secret ingredient. This and that. I mean, there's a lot in the creative industry. Don't worry, we don't have to talk about it.
Yeah. It's
So
it's a very interesting conversation we had with you. I think I personally I learned more building Xpress Digital. I think I learned more about the trust factor and a whole lot of stuff. And I believe our audience has learned a few things. So thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Hopefully, in another season, we would have you. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Okay. I think.
That was a real story, unpolished, unfiltered, the kind that only exists because the founder was willing to tell the true version and because Build Forward field notes from Africa founders exist. Africa entrepreneur story is being written, and we are making sure it's not going to be written without the founders who are actually living it. If today's episode opened up a question about your business, about positioning strategy, or what's the next stage of growth actually require, Xpress Digital Co exists to walk through with you. We are a strategy-led digital firm built for founders at the inflection point. Find us at xpressdigital.org or the links in the show notes. And if you're a founder with a story worth documenting, early stage, growth stage, still in the work, applications for the podcast are open at xpressdigital.org. Build-forward. xpressdigital.org. Build-forward. Your journey certainly contains what the next builder needs. We want to hear from you. And to you, the ones who made it to the end of the episode, thank you. You are part of this recording being built. Share this conversation with one founder who needs it. Build forward.